Imagine being dressed as a bride, your hands painted with beautiful patterns, your heart full of hope, only to be thrown into a pit filled with hissing snakes before the night is over. This is the story of Amina, a poor girl whose own family tried to erase her existence on the very night she was meant to begin a new life. But what happened after she fell into that pit changed everything. The village of Kachiri had never been so lively. Drums echoed through the air, women danced in circles, children ran around laughing, chasing each other between the huts. It was Amina's wedding day. Inside a small mud hut at the edge of the compound, Amina sat quietly on a wooden stool while two women tied coral beads around her wrists. She looked beautiful. Her wrapper was bright red, her hair was braided neatly, decorated with tiny white shells. The faint smell of shea butter filled the room. But despite the celebration outside, her heart was restless, because Amina did not grow up with the love most brides received. Her mother had died when she was only 6 years old. Not long after, her father married another woman. Her name was Zainab. From the moment Zainab entered the house, Amina's life slowly turned into something painful. She was the one who fetched water. She was the one who swept the compound. She was the one who cooked, washed clothes, and carried firewood from the forest. Meanwhile, Zainab's own daughter, Lila, lived comfortably. Lila wore the best clothes. Lila ate the best food. Lila slept while Amina worked. And deep inside Zainab's heart, jealousy burned like hidden fire, because the man Amina was about to marry was no ordinary man. He was the son of a wealthy chief from a neighboring kingdom, tall, respected, kind, and he had chosen Amina, not Lila. As evening fell, the celebration became even louder. Torches lit the compound, the wedding rituals were performed, gifts were exchanged, and before the moon rose high into the sky, Amina officially became a married woman. But in the shadows of the celebration, Zainab watched quietly. Her eyes were cold. Beside her stood Lila, arms crossed. "Mother," Lila whispered bitterly, "why should she be the lucky one?" Zainab's lips slowly curved into a thin smile. "She won't be." Later that night, after most of the guests had left and the compound had grown quiet, Amina sat inside the small bridal hut prepared for her. Her heart beat fast. Marriage, a new life, maybe finally happiness. She was adjusting her wrapper when suddenly someone knocked softly on the door. "Amina," a voice called. It was Zainab. Amina quickly stood up and opened the door. Her stepmother stood there holding a small lantern. "Amina," she said gently, "come with me. I want to show you something special before you leave with your husband tomorrow morning." Amina blinked in surprise. "Something special?" "Yes," Zainab said with a sweet smile that did not reach her eyes. Behind her stood Lila, silent. Amina hesitated for only a moment, then she followed them. The night air was cool. The village had mostly fallen asleep. They walked past the huts, past the farms, deeper into the dark forest behind the village. After a while, Amina began to feel uneasy. "Stepmother," she asked quietly, "where are we going?" "We're almost there," Zainab replied calmly. They reached a small clearing. In the center of the clearing was an old wooden cover made of thick logs. Amina had seen it once before when she was younger. Her heart suddenly dropped. The snake pit. Long ago, the villagers had dug that pit to trap dangerous snakes that wandered near their homes. Over time, it became a place people feared to approach. Amina stopped walking. "Why are we here?" she whispered. Zainab turned slowly toward her. The sweetness had disappeared from her face. "You really thought you deserved that marriage?" she asked coldly. Her heart began pounding. "What do you mean? You were never meant to rise above my daughter. Tonight, the wrong girl became a bride." Before Amina could react, Lila suddenly pushed her from behind. Everything happened too fast. Amina screamed as the wooden cover shifted beneath her feet. The ground vanished. Her body dropped into darkness. She hit the bottom of the pit hard. Dust rose around her. For a moment, there was silence. Then she heard it. Sssss. Her blood froze. Slowly, shapes began to move around her. Long, dark bodies sliding over the dirt. Snakes, many of them.
Their tongues flickered in the faint moonlight coming from above. Amina pressed herself against the wall of the pit, trembling. "Help me!" she screamed. Above the pit, Zainab and Lila looked down. Their shadows stretched across the opening. "No one will hear you," Zainab said calmly. "Goodbye, Amina." They placed the wooden cover back over the pit. Darkness swallowed everything. Inside the pit, Amina's breathing became shaky. The snakes moved slowly around her. One brushed against her leg. Another slithered across the ground near her hands. She closed her eyes. Tears ran down her face. "God, please save me," she whispered. Minutes passed. Then something strange happened. The snakes stopped moving. One large python slowly lifted its head. It stared at her, but instead of striking, it turned away. One by one, the snakes began to slithering towards the edges of the pit, leaving a small space around her. It was as if they had decided not to harm her. Amina did not understand, but she remained still the entire night, praying, waiting, hoping the morning would come. At sunrise, an old hunter passed through the forest. He was following the sound of rustling leaves when he heard a faint voice. "Help! Please!" He froze. The voice was coming from underground. He moved closer and pushed the wooden cover aside. When he looked inside the pit, his eyes widened. A young bride sat surrounded by dozens of snakes, but none of them touched her. "By the spirits!" the hunter whispered. Quickly, he lowered a rope. "Climb!" he shouted. Amina grabbed the rope with shaking hands. Minutes later, she collapsed on the ground beside the pit. The hunter stared at her carefully. "You must come with me," he said. And that decision would lead her to a destiny far greater than anyone in her village had ever imagined. Because the hunter was not just an ordinary man. He was the royal guard of a powerful king. And when the king heard the story of the girl the snakes refused to bite, he demanded to meet her. Far away in the village, Zainab and Lila believed their secret was buried forever. They celebrated quietly. They thought Amina was gone. But they had no idea that the girl they threw into a snake pit was already walking towards a throne. And soon the entire village would learn the truth. But when that day came, justice would be waiting for them.